Good day to you, my fellow endoskeletons. I'm Kenetor, and it's been pretty quiet here in Starbase recently. But today, that changes. We just got a huge patch of content and new features, but the biggest change has to be the 3 new ship shops. Now let's go have a little look. Now these ship shops are filled with player-made and designed ships, which makes these shops just a little bit more special than the current ones that we have. Now we have the 2 yellow ones, these are Rando 1 and Rando 2, and these are filled with just anyone that's kind of submitted a design for that has been accepted. And the one over here, the darker one, that's the Occam Industries shop. So let's go visit one of these and let's have a good look at one of the batch of ships that we have. So one quick thing as we approach the station entrance, I just want to take a quick little look at this. Cat ears on the ship shop and what looks like cat eyes. I'm sure Senki's proud of that one. But here we have our ships. Now on each side there's a very large ship showroom that has 2 main large ships and then 2 smaller ones off on the side. So let's start with this one. As always, every ship has an information panel which has its name, a brief description and its cost. So for this one we've got 13.2 million and this is the Scrublass. Scrublass, made by Cubemaster, is well suited to transport cargo, primarily a salvaging ship. The ship has 2 cargo lock frames in the middle of the ship, accessible via hatches in the bottom. 2 cargo lock beam sections in the stern. Additionally, the Scrublass is fitted with 2 twin laser turrets that can aim frontally via rangefinder's targeting, which allows the pilot to accurately dismantle wreckage. This ship is classified as an intermediate level ship. Now, all of these have a player written description from the designer, that would be the top section, and the devs seem to have added this different level of class of the ship, so intermediate, beginner, advanced, that sort of thing. So let's have a little look at the outside of this one. So far I'm loving the fact that it's an armoured ship. There's definitely not enough of these out there. Seems to have some well placed triangle thrusters for that stopping power that these larger ships definitely need, which looks pretty cool. We've got some side windows here with a passenger seat, some nice triangle plating there just to angle the ship up quite nicely. Let's see what we've got in terms of thrust. Quite a few box thrusters. I kind of like this spaced out layout as well. It's kind of cool. I like this. And then rear here we've got this tail section. Now obviously in space you don't need a tail to keep you stable, but what they have done is added these cargo lock beams to have this quite significant area at the back on each side to transport larger bits of wreckage or cargo. On the top here it looks like we've got some radiator panels for coolant, some decorative plates, but overall just pretty, standard flat plating in most places, nice touches of detail, and then you've got the guns that were in the description there on both sides. So let's pop in and have a little look. And not get hit by the door. So this is really nice to start with. This is a nearly fully kind of plated up interior, which looks really cool. So a quick look at the cockpit. We've got a really nice spaced out layout here, which is nice. You've got 3 different control panels, which is kind of what you need. You want your controls nice and spread out. So if you want to use them, you can. You've got all your buttons you need. You've got all your signals and battery levels and stuff. And this has a very, very nice field of view. Sadly, they didn't put any glass on the bottom. I think that would have been a nice touch, but very, very good field of view within this cockpit. Going further back, we've got the door we just came in, and we can shut that as well. And there's going to be a matching one on the other side. And we've got another button here. This one seems to be open by default, but this is where the ship's fuel is stored. Further back, we've got the 2 cargo lock frame areas, and there seems to be buttons for each of these. We can turn these on, and there also seems to be, wow, awesome, a nice opening bottom bay door to bring in whatever you're bringing in, be it salvage, or you just want more storage for ore and you just want to leave raw ore in here. So that's pretty cool. And you got the same on this side for this one. Heading further back, you've got racks for additional storage space for fuel rods and the main reactor setup, which is pretty good. You've got your flight controls here, coolant, and seems to be a coolant button, probably to make it optional, whether you want to use that or not. And then more windows at the back, which we saw from the outside. Now these are all controls for the cargo lock beams, as well as a tractor beam, which can be set up. And I believe they were on a turret, so these can probably be controlled and aimed in specific directions. So this is actually quite nice. I mean, it would be really good if they could have hidden all the cabling, but exposed cabling does mean it's easier to fix should you get damaged. Battery bank on this side, I don't know how much that will unbalance the ship, but probably not by too much. They could easily get away with putting that on the other side, maybe put a few decorative plates around it. I think that could be pretty nice. So if we head back out, and some yellow code up there. Another thing to note on a lot of these ships, there seems to be left and right indicators with the standard green and red, as you see on like normal aircraft that you get these days. This way when you're approaching a ship, you know if you're approaching it from the left or the right side. So pretty handy. Overall, I really like this ship. As I said, we need more fully armoured ships in the game, and another thing that's going to really weigh in its favour when doing these fully armoured ships, when we get hazards in the asteroid belt, you're going to need that so it doesn't corrode the inside of your ship. So if we just have a quick little look at... Oh, there we go. Now, these are blue, not green, because they're indestructible, but it will show if there's any hidden underlying issues, but for the most part, this looks pretty strong. There's no little marks coming up. There was one or two by the control panel, but that's normal for control panels. And there's 2 at the front. So it doesn't seem to be very many issues with this ship. The only problem with buying ships from a ship shop, you really don't know how they fly, so you've really got to be careful in what you buy. So we're going to jump onto the next ship now. And this one is going to be the Cyclops. Cyclops is made by Meboy, is a cargo ship equipped with crash avoidance and navigation systems, a cargo lock frame, and 170 crates. The Cyclops also has lights that turn on when reversing, and the cargo frame cannot be turned off while in motion to prevent unintended accidents. Cyclops ranks as an intermediate ship. There we go, now the full thing's rendered in. Let's have a good look at the outside. So we've got some sliding doors, very nice cockpit at the front. Interesting layout of seats around the sides. That's definitely different. And I like it, because you know what, it's in space. There doesn't have to be an up and down. We've got access to the resource ports here. Nice single strip of colour all the way along, and it stands out quite nicely, I think. Although, could probably use with a standard base colour. I think that could be quite nice. So have a look at the thrusters here. And this thing is not going to be a slouch. This thing will definitely have some kick to it. Not sure if these thrusters might get blocked, but that looks pretty wide to me. So this one may either in the future damage this with corrosion or may not fire. I'm sure that has been tested, but obviously corrosion's not in yet, so we can't test that specifically. But yeah, this is definitely going to move. That's a lot of thrust. And I like the fact that attention to detail has been paid here to the orientation of the triangle thrusters, making a nice pattern at the back, and also helps with balance. So if we head along now, what's this? I I think... Oh dear. Yeah, this is what seems like a shortcut has been taken here. They have connected these with the pipes and cables like they need to be, but it's been done directly from one to another, and now these are exposed on the outside. You do not want this. This could be bad. So if you're attacked by pirates or anything like that, these are on the outside. These could get hit first, and you do not want that. That will be bad. But other than that, the outside decoration, while simplistic, works really nicely. It's got nice clean lines to it. We can see some of these cargo bay doors on the bottom are already open, but we're going to go in the main door and have a look at the cockpit. Cockpit is very nice. Again, lacks from up and down visibility, but I like the fact that there are no controls blocking it, so it's got slightly better than the other ship, I think. And you've got all your buttons up here. Now the only downside here is that you have to fully turn around to reach these back ones, and then you're upside down and you can't read the writing. So this way up looks pretty good, and you've got looks like you've got the ISAN coordinates in there as well, so it's fully equipped with ISAN. You've got flight time left, which is being calculated via YOLO, and velocity as well is also an ISAN feature, although not terribly accurate yet. So let's see what this looks like with the door closed. I like there's no gaps as well. This is very flush fitting. This is also very nice. So we've got some seats here. This area could definitely use with some lighting. This feels quite dark to me. Let's have a look at these seats. The view of a passenger. Now they've got buttons here. Ah, okay. Let me guess. Yep. Can't get out the seat. So these had to have a hatch to be able to get out. So we'll open that up. And then I guess we can hit that button to close it, since there's no external button here. We'll head back in real quick. Let's have a look at what some of these buttons do I saw earlier. So we've got big door. Nice. I do love the sliding doors. And here we've got the engine room. You've got all these levels. Now, while this does look quite neat, I really would prefer, and this would take the same space, if these were just horizontal. It would make more sense to me. I know obviously these go from left to right, which in this case would be down to up, so they kind of look cool, but reading what they are, just having to turn your head, not always the best. So this is quite the extensive setup, and any ship with cargo lock beams should have lots of power, and cargo lock fields as well, because they do very much drain quite a lot of power. So let's give that door a little shut. I've noticed there's a couple of hinges lying around. Yeah, there's some here as well. So let's have a little look-see. Let's press some of these buttons. Okay, so we've got a couple of top hatches here. That's interesting. Oh, and there's one there. Okay, let's press some of these buttons again. There we go. So we've got a hatch here, so we can replace or get a spare fuel rod. There seems to be plenty of spare fuel rods up here. Although, how you would get those, I don't know, because you can't really bolt. I guess you could bolt through the middle here. But yeah, grabbing them is going to be pretty tricky, I would think. So let's close that one up and then open this one instead. So weird thing here as well with the hatches, with the anything on a hinge will go through each itself. Ah, and we've got the fuel in here. Now I do like this. This is quite clever to put them all in a row like this. Makes them very easy to exchange, and hopefully later on you won't even need to when we get refueling. So that will be pretty good too. So on the bottom side, let's have a look at these buttons. Again, another hatch there. And this closes up the floor. So you wouldn't even know something's down there. You've got the side seats there as well. So let's go down here if we can. Can we get down here? Yes, we can. So yes, you've got even more fuel that was hiding behind that hatch. Although I think it does look cool if that stays open. This is a very big area to store cargo in, and a directly accessible via a door at the bottom. So I do like that as well. So this has got quite a lot of storage space. So even though there's only 170 cargo crates, you can still stack a whole bunch more ore in here and up your capacity by It's probably either a 2x2 or a 3x2 when it comes to the raw ores. So that's actually pretty good. Let's take a little look at the durability. Now there's a lot of these all the way along. This is probably on decorative plating, but we'll have a quick look. And there. Must be connected to 2 beams. And you can see here now, because it's hidden the space around it for the durability, you can see inside. That's where the crates are all being hidden as well. It's a pretty smart placement all the way around, I think. That's pretty good. Now I think that's a window frame piece, so it kind of acts like a beam anyway, so that's why it's not complaining it's connected to a beam, yet it's not being used to do anything structural, so that is more than okay with that. No problems with that ship at all. I really like the look. It's got plenty of thrust, plenty of storage. And how much did this one cost? 30.8 million. That's pretty expensive for a cargo transport, but it does have a lot of features. This could probably be upgraded to the ISAN quad for extra precision, but at least it's got some sort of wayfinding system, so you'll be able to find your friends or they can find you should anything go wrong. Now onto some of the smaller ships in this small area. We've got the Racer. The Racer is made by Trei. It's a small fighter that can be transformed. Transforming ships. I love it. Fittingly into a racer ship. Interesting. Let me guess, just take the guns off. Not much of a transformation. 2 autocannons and 12 batteries. The Racer is extremely agile, especially if the lever movement speed is increased. The Racer has displays for battery, propellant and cannons, and is fairly affordable spaceship. The Racer has batteries but no generator, and thus is not intended for long distance travel. And it costs 2.1 million. For the size of it, you would think it would have a generator, and this is probably something that needs to be rethought on this specific ship, because batteries are going to get nerfed soon. At the moment they can drain as much power as is required by your ship, and that is going to be capped at I think 100 energy per second per battery, and there's 10,000 storage in the battery, so you may as well put a generator in there and you'll get just as much power. Now I do like the shape of these wings. I really like this 30 degree and 30 degree turn. It gives a really nice shape. It's just a shame it's not plated. Now plating this would be hard, especially because with the way the plates work, this would come over and you'd kind of have to have like a corner here to get out to that one, which is a bit of a pain, but I still think would look nice if this was attempted, or you could manually hand place a flat plate across that to be able to get what you want. You just wouldn't have nice corners. Let's have a look. Let's have a look what the cockpit looks like. Nice and simple. You've just got weapon fire, which doesn't seem to work for this one, but this one works. Don't worry, we're in a safe zone. There's no damage coming from that whatsoever. So you've got your standard 4 levers. If it was going to be intended for combat use, you might want to have these in a bit more of a protected area. This lever seems to be missing completely. That's... oh, there we go. That's very strange. This patch has been a little bit bug-filled, as it wasn't extensively tested and wasn't put on the test universe either. Much to everyone's disappointment, as it has caused issues with ships being flyable. Some people can fly and spawn their ships, others can't. But we're here to look at the ships, so let's not worry about that for now. Now, I noticed something when I was looking at this earlier on. You've got areas like this where there's just unplated parts of an attachment plate. This could all be solved with beam welding, which is now in the game. But this is very messy bolting, and I'm sure there's not that much stress coming through this that it requires that many bolts. This is also very strange. Bolting beam to beam does not work. That is not a valid way of bolting. It has to touch a attachment plate, or you can weld. So having all these extra bolts in isn't doing this ship any favours. Top down bolting through. As you can see, there's no attachment plates in there. No other plates of any kind. This up down bolting, not doing a damn thing. Yeah, it just doesn't look nice. I really like when people pay attention to where they're putting their bolts and don't just spam them everywhere. It looks much nicer. And again here, this is another unconnected beam, no doubt. Oops. Let's see what that says. Nothing. What's that one say? Not connected to two beams. What is it? It's... looks like it should be connected to two beams. There's a beam above it, beam to the side. Maybe another forgotten plate. I wouldn't buy this ship. I couldn't trust it to stay together the way this has been bolted. Like, bolting here through the frame to bolt this in place is fine. But bolting beam to beam is a bit dodgy. This could be an older design that they just dug out to submit to the devs. But, I don't know. It could definitely use some work and a lick of paint. This hasn't got a single coloured bit on it, sadly. But moving on, let's have a look at this one. I really like the shape on this one. This one looks cool. Let's find out what this one's called. This one is the Akimbo 1. Akimbo 1, made by Boneloid, is a small fighter with two separate sections in the ship that enable full functionality even if one side of the ship gets damaged. So it should have some good redundancy there. The centre of the ship has two generators that can charge 24 batteries, enabling the use of dual railguns. That may not be the case once the changes come in, but we'll see. In addition to the long-range railguns, there are two autocannons for short-range defensive encounters. The ship is not very efficient in the mid-range, but can hold its ground in short and long range. 4 box thrusters and 12 manoeuvring thrusters allow for fluid control and balanced aiming. The Akimbo 1 belongs to the group of advanced starter level ships. Alright. So very obviously there we've got our two railguns right there in the middle. Closer to the pilot the better when it comes to aiming those things, because they are very pinpoint accurate. And then we've got the autocannons there. Although quite dangerous to have such a wide gap. This gap can be made a lot smaller to fit those autocannons through without exposing a very, very vulnerable tank there. Just one layer of armor, that tank's gonna go pop. Not to mention there is an exposed cable there, although that looks like it goes to nothing, which is very strange. Could have been tidied up. Bit of decorative plating here and on the edges with these angled bits looks really nice. I like that. And on the top here, these sticking out loops do look very, very nice. On the back, we've got the 4 box thrusters, and you know what, actually, that looks a little off balance to me. This is kind of centered on this bit, but you've got all this weight up here at the top. So if this does fly straight and balanced, it's not getting the full effect of what these thrusters can give, and this ship could go definitely faster. Also concerning the gap between here, exposing the beams very, very badly there. That could be easily fixed and shored up. Don't think there's glass in there. It's very hard to see glass sometimes. Nope. Alright, let's have a little look-see at the pilot seat. Good to have an aiming reticule in there. And then you've got... I love the fact this has got a reverse cockpit hatch as well. So like normal glass at the front, but the actual cockpit canopy is on the top. Okay. Now, this is the downside to using these physical buttons. There's no label for what any of these actually do. That should be... yeah, that's the canopy coming down. But yeah, so this one, who knows what that does. There doesn't seem to be... oh, there's displays there. They still work if I turn that off. Unfortunately, due to the lights around this, I can't really read the displays very well, but there's definitely some stuff there. Let's jump out of there, and sitting on top of the reactor. Well, at least it will probably kill you before it kills the reactor. But I like the shape, I like the style. I would say this probably might be a little bit better if the central area was dropped to offset the extra weight that is on the top side of the ship, just so the brings the center of mass down in line with the thrusters. I think could be quite nice. I don't see any buttons for hatches or any hinges for hatches, so I'm not quite sure how those guns are reloaded. Perhaps there's specific plates that come off that make it easy to get into the ammo section. Overall, I think it's a nice ship. What was the price? 7.3 million. That'll be the cost of the railguns. Very expensive, but as a long range snipe you could probably definitely get away with that. But if you're found, you need to get away quickly, and if you're not getting full amounts of thrust from your thrusters, you're already at a disadvantage. So on the fence on this one, as we haven't really had much long range gameplay going on at the moment, long range fighting. Obviously you'd need bigger ships to target if we could make that viable. But at the moment, not really any use for this sort of fighter design, but still looks quite nice. I like it. Now there is 5 main rooms in this. There's one of these each side, 2 upper rooms and a middle room. So we'll just circle our way around and we'll cut through the middle at another point. So let's start with this one. This is the Arrowhead. Arrowhead is made by Balto. Originally a fighter design, this fast and nimble ship, now modded to use purely for transportation. This ship has enough propellant to last 18 hours at full thrust, and its fuel reserves will last 6 hours. The ship has a maximum speed of 100 meters per second, which is very reasonable. The Arrowhead has an access hatch at the back of the ship in between thrusters, allowing for easy access to the fuel rods. The main flight computer and the flight control unit and 2 YOLO racks on board. The cooling board can be accessed from the cockpit when the cockpit is open. Arrowhead is classified as an advanced starter level ship and costs a cool 4.2 million. Let's have a little look. As expected, looks just like an Arrowhead. I'm loving the symbol in the middle there too. That looks cool. Now since it's not a fighter, you don't really have to worry about keeping things like the radiators and stuff safe, and the cockpit is really nice and visible. Let's see, where's the button here? The button there. Look at that. I like the way that opens. Oh, this does not open in the shop. They maybe should have placed this ship just a little bit higher. Whoops. So yeah, as they said, you can access some stuff from here, like the coolant cells, top and bottom there. If we stop getting hit by that thing and jump in. Very nice field of view. Nearly completely interrupted. This would be really nice as a personal transport ship, just take you from A to B. And oh, let's just jump in. What have we got here? Access hatch. I'm guessing that's the that's this main hatch. Yes, it is. And then we've got rangefinders and headlamps, which is always good. Although we've got our own personal headlamps that we can turn on. The only thing I disagree with though is these are extremely bright, and I've seen a few ships that have got lights on, and using this level of light for this smaller ship, it just completely washes out that area. Obviously it's not for people viewing it. In this particular case, this is for lighting up what's in front of you if you get close to something, if you're exploring something. But still, I'd like to see a lesser light on there. In terms of thrust back here, we've got just 4 box thrusters, and that's pretty fast for just 4 box thrusters for 100 meters. They could have, if they could somehow get access via the top and the bottom, maybe through some rearrangement, and then put some maybe triangles in here or some more boxes, this thing could get up to a pretty reasonable speed. As they mentioned, this has all the access you need in here. Internal buttons as well as external buttons. Looks like that light turns on automatically as well. That I like. That's very good. And this is the normal light. This works much better. It's not so blinding. It's still bright but not blinding. But yeah, it gives you nice lighting in here. You can change your reactor stuff, access the code and change it if you need. And when shut, don't really look like doors except for the buttons. So that's quite nice as well. Really nice attention to detail in the curve that they've kind of put into here at the back really gives it that, you know, curved arrowhead feel for the back to go against the jagged front. So I'm just going to make sure this stops because that sound is just crazy. There we go. And the fish's mouth closes. I like the armor that they put on the edge of the windows as well, so you can tell where it is, because seeing this glass is very hard to see. It's great for when you're inside, but placing it and trying to see if there is glass or not is actually quite hard. Let's jump over to this ship now. This one is the Transferens Mark III 5S1G3W8OC++ RC. Now that's a code name if I ever saw one. The KOIOS? The KOIOS Transferens is a small fast mining ship made by Fatfly. It is equipped with 80 cargo containers, 2 cargo lock beams, and 3 cargo lock frames. The ship can carry 5 endoskeletons, and the ideal mining crew consists of a pilot and 1 miner. The small, fast, agile ship with a bulky frame is practical for a quick trip into the asteroid field, and is ranked as an intermediate level ship. We got a cost of 9.6 million, that's pretty reasonable for what it's got. Let's start with the looks here. Now, this is one of the more unique looking ships. It's not just like the boxier ships that we've seen. It's got some nice angles to it, stuff sticking out at weird angles. You've got lots of triangle plates in here, as well as this curved plating around the outside here. And traditionally, it's not got the cockpit in the middle, which is quite interesting. It's got a single plasma weapon, which is probably used for breaking up asteroids rather than actual fighting. And then we have the cockpit at the top. Around here we've got some rangefinders that are scattered around the outside edges. Some open framework, maybe we could attach more cargo to the top here. Although possibly dangerous if you are carrying cargo within these cargo lock beams that will come out of here. So you could carry back possibly a large asteroid. There's no telling from the description how large an asteroid it can take, so if you do get this ship, do make sure that once you've locked onto your asteroid, you are checking your stress level so your ship doesn't tear itself to pieces. So we've got a seat at the top here. Would have been nice to see it symmetrical with a seat on the bottom, but that's no biggie. We've got thrusters in quite a nice configuration, but could be made more dense for more speed. It says it's fast and nimble, but how fast and nimble, we're not sure. Some armoured thrusters here. It's quite nice actually, because then it keeps the design looking clean. Where they're covered like this, you don't always see them from every angle, so you only see the main thrusters, making it more kind of sci-fi feeling by hiding those. So that's pretty good. And again, the cargo lock beams on the other side here. If we go, here we are, hidden button in this little crack here. We'll open these bottom doors. Inside we can see immediately we've got 2 seats, really big fuel tanks, batteries, and the main reactor. Now I really like this main reactor style because it's kind of central to the core of the ship, yet doesn't become the ship. You know, it's not completely blocked off everything. And then you've got these really cool support beams that come out. This seems like kind of really, although it's just a single beam, it just looks really structurally strong. Or it's definitely got its own style, and I really like that. I really appreciate it. It looks good. We've got some stats here for the generator. Button doesn't do anything. Oops. So then we've got manual control for generator rate, which is quite useful. Does this just okay, that just straight up turns it off. Let's just turn this off. And then we've got the standard store battery propellant reserve. It's always good to have a reserve. So if you do run out of fuel unexpectedly because you've not been paying attention, you've got some fuel to get you back to where you're going or to continue your journey so you can make it. We've got extra room here for more fuel rods, and then you can see behind these decorative plates, that's where the cargo is being held, and even more space here for more rods. So this has got plenty of backup fuel. You'll be able to go probably quite long range for this. It's even got coolant sockets as well to cool down spare coolant cells. So that's pretty cool. Haven't seen any switches back here, so I don't think there's really any hidden areas. We've got a button there, which is for this small cargo lock frame. This is most likely going to be for tools, weapons, that sort of thing. Extra stuff that you can't really carry on your person, but can be used for mining. So if you lost a mining pick, or you need spare ones for when just a random person joins your crew when you want to go out to the mining field, then that's there for you as well. So what have we got here? So yeah, as you could hear that weird warm sound, that turned on these cargo lock beams. So that's all groovy there, and I think one of them lights? No, they're just both cargo locks. And this side, okay, lights out and lights in. Okay, cool. So in terms of power, it just seems to be the one reactor. I'm not seeing signs of another reactor here. So you might not be able to carry too much in those cargo lock beams because it maybe won't have the power generation capacity to support that. But it's still pretty cool. We've got the passenger seats here, which because they're mounted sideways like we saw on some of the other ships, are going to end up with some unique views, which is kind of cool. So let's just turn back around, please. My Q button's not working. There we go. Can you access the cockpit from inside? It was above, right? That way. Further back? Oh, there we go. No. There's the seat. Can I get in from here? I can! But can I get out? No. Okay, let's have a little look around. We've got your standard coolant and propellant and everything else. Up here we've got some buttons for reserves. Lights on the outside, lights on the inside. Cargo lock beams. This side we've got cargo lock beams. Plasma gun. Exit. Ah, good. There's also a manual handle there so you can get in from the outside. The doors and generator reset. So, as I said before, I really like the look of this, and oh, I nearly forgot, on the bottom here, there is another cargo log. Jolly good. So let's have a look at how stable some of this beamwork is. But yeah, I really like this ship, and it's got a good style, really good look to it, and it's got lots of features that are going to be used by quite a few different people. You know, if you've got a crew that's going, this is going to be good for you because you can do multiple things. You could do some salvage with this, with the cargo lock frames and the beams. You could do mining with this and haul asteroids back at the same time. Might not be very fast doing it, but you could do it nonetheless. Now what have we got here? No, needs 2 bolts connected to a beam. Well, it does and it doesn't. This hasn't got a thruster on this point, so this should be fine, although I'm not seeing... Okay, this is connected into this, which... Via 1? Only 1 bolt holding this whole thing in? Ooh, good job it's just a rangefinder. What else have we got here? We got some issues there, maybe? What have we got? Something else that thinks it needs to be connected to a beam. Oh, what's going on here? Those... Oh no! These are unbolted plates in the design, so these will fall off the second you start flying for the first time, which is not good. However, what is good is the fact that it is easily fixed, so not too much to worry about there. I'll be sure to report that to the ship's designer and you can get it fixed. Let's see if it's broken on the bottom as well. See, it's not broken on the bottom, so yeah, he's just forgotten a few bolts there, so that's no biggie. He can fix that and resubmit it to the devs, and he can get that fixed for everybody. But yeah, there's a couple of beams in here, or something that should be connected to beams that doesn't seem to be. It might be something small. It could be a critical part of the beam, so always keep an eye out for that. Moving down to this small ship now, we've got the Minima SSCE. Made by Crankycorvid, is an entry-level mining craft that processes raw ore into cubes and transports them by attaching ore cubes to the ship's frame. Due to this, the Minima SSCE is able to carry larger amounts of ore than other ships in its price range. Now this is true. This is something that we've seen in a few designs now. Only 415,000, not even a million. So that is actually a really good price. You just need one storage crate, and then once you've filled that crate up with the same single material, you can drag that into space, and then it becomes a standard ore cube, which you could then attach to this framework. The only downside of that is you have to be very careful about how much you attach and where you attach it to keep the center of mass balanced, as well as not overloading the mass stress on the frame, because that would be very bad, because it would tear your ship in half, and you do not want that. But seems like it's got plenty of good features. You've got the YOLO screen attached to the seat there. That's not going to do anything, so maybe there's just instructions on that. Let's see if I can. I don't know if you can use these. No, can't see what's on that until you buy it. And from the cockpit, we've got a large array of controls. Some of these are probably strafe controls. And we've got beacons. God, it's hard to read that thing. Ah, cool. Automatic flashing lights. So that's good if you need a rescue. If you've done exactly what I just said and smashed your ship in half. But yeah, that's pretty standard control for a cheap ship. There's even a little step, look, that's pretty cute. But my main concern with this is battery operated. That is not a good thing in my book. I'm very much against just purely battery operated ships. They have very limited usefulness and lifespan and range, and can leave you just off of reach of the station and having to get someone to rescue you, tow you back to the station, that sort of deal. So that's just going to slow you down, eat into your profits, and I would probably just pay a little bit more and go with a more operational ship. Although I'm sure he could make a version of this with a generator that probably wouldn't be too much bigger or add too much more cost. Now I already know who this is made by, as his crazy beaming techniques are known from here to the moons of Eos. This is the Chalcosoma, and it is made by Quevin. It's a cargo ship named after one of the largest rhinoceros beetles. The ship has a unique Trei shape for transporting asteroids and other ships, and is an intermediate level ship. Only 3.3 million for something that could transport absolutely massive asteroids is actually pretty good. The downside to this, it does have very exposed beamwork with very minimal armor, although it was styled using the pincer. So I think style wise, not counting how it's used, I think it looks great. You've got easy access to everything should something get damaged, you need to fix, refuel, get more fuel rods in there, propellant, you name it. It's got a receiver, so it probably has an ISAN system. Let's see, panel values. It looks like a lot of these panels haven't been set up or don't work on the ship shop version, but will probably work if you buy it. But I'll have to see, because I haven't got one yet, although I will probably get one of these to try out soon, because I know there's a Kingdom variant, so I definitely want to try that. And as he does on nearly all his ships, the Dutch flag is presently proudly displayed on this ship, which is pretty cool. And he's even matched the lights as well, which is pretty good. Another thing I'd like to point out here as well, that not a lot of people do, is he's angled his seat forward. Now, automatically it faces you forward to the seats forward, but you kind of get a better view by tilting it, so you don't have as much below you. So this way he can have all his controls a bit lower than everybody else's. Because if you look there, it looks like a normal seat, but you're actually saving quite a bit of forward space by not having it up here in front of you, your vision, blocking your sight of what you're actually trying to capture, which is the most important thing. So yeah, pretty cool ship here. And we'll test this out. Now, there seems to be a few issues along this, but I know this ship has been tested to carry, I think, at least a class 9 or 10 asteroid, and they are pretty damn big. Now, this warning that it's unsupported angle for frames, I'm thinking more that this angle is more to do with the auto bolter or auto welder that is now in the game that it can't do, and these have all been manually bolted all the way along here, and then also by these secondary support frames as well, and works completely fine. So not all errors are bad, it just means that they're not expected by the game. Now, this has got 3 box thrusters, 3 maneuvering thrusters, a little bit of coolant there, some YOLO cold, but yeah, overall, just look pretty good. I'll definitely want to know the top speed of this thing, because I don't think it's going to be fast carrying a huge asteroid in its claw with only 3 box thrusters. But it isn't really armoured, so maybe it's saving a lot of weight there. I'll have to wait and see when I get a version to try. Jumping down to this one, we've got Sprite, like that name. Sprite is made by Manduin. It's a small, affordable personal craft designed for short-range travel on stations or in cities. It's highly customizable, encouraging the owner to add their own flair to the ship, and is incredibly easy to refuel and repair. All its key components, such as batteries, propellant tank, main flight computer, flight control unit, are all accessible through various hatches on the top and bottom of the vehicle, and is a easy to use ship branded as a starter level ship at the easy price of 1.1 million. And this is not the front of the ship. Interesting. Interesting, so we've kind of got like a manta ray vibe going on here, which is pretty cool. This seems very, very tiny. Does this thing have a generator at all? This can't be running off purely batteries. This ship could be made a lot cheaper if it didn't have that premium FCU in there. That's jumping up the price of this thing quite a bit. I would knock that down to a basic for a ship like this. You do not even need... I don't think it even could strafe. It could strafe very slowly. I don't think it needs strafing, so you could knock it all the way down to a blue basic level. But this thing, having the advanced turning and stuff features that this thing applies, that's something you want to use on a fighter. This thing is not fighting anything. It's bare bones. So we've got fuel tank in there, battery, another battery. So it looks like maybe it's only got 3 batteries. That can't be good. Now, where are these hatches? I'm not seeing any buttons. It did say there was maintenance hatches? Access points. I guess if this counts as an access point, you could get the fuel. But again, this seems like another battery-operated ship, so this is going to be very short range, very minimal. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but with the battery-operated ships, there's no way to recharge them right now. You can't go and plug this into a station and recharge the batteries. You have to kind of jankily put a generator on the side, wire it up without moving, charge up your batteries, and disconnect it and uncable it, which is a really jank way of doing it. And even if we did have recharging, that's still very limited range, and space is big. Can't forget that. Anyway, let's have a little look in the cockpit. Pretty standard setup here. We've seen this kind of setup a lot. It's very, very standard. We've got a button for lights and standard figures here. So yeah, I mean, really basic ship, really kind of a faster Versama alternative, I guess. I really like that, and I really like the wings, completely unneeded, purely there for style purposes. This would work just as well if that was completely cut off and brought all the way in. But it gives it a unique look, silhouette, so I kind of like that. I just wish it had a generator. Moving on now. We have the Immatium. An affordable civilian mining ship made by Lunar. This ship is equipped with 14 cargo crates for ore and is optimized for short to mid-length mining trips. It's a good choice for a first spaceship due to easy maneuverability and is a starter level ship. It kind of feels, for me, like this one was built by a paranoid person, and this whole thing is a roll cage. Now obviously that's not the case, it's just a good way of doing something that's not a box, making these nice angled slopes and fitting everything within a specific space. The only thing I could say that I'd really want to change about this is maybe I would have made these angle bits a little bit longer, which means it would have been slightly taller, and you could probably have fit a 2 high of boxes in there, giving it a little bit more cargo capacity without harming its forward speed too much. Of which there probably isn't going to be a lot of forward speed of either. This could easily be extended with a few more thrusters. If it was a bit taller as well, you'd have way more cargo space, although on the upside it does seem you could probably strap on more cargo to these beams on top and on the sides. How much it could take though, it's anyone's guess. You'd have to do some testing on that for sure. Does it say it's good for... No, some of them do mention that they're made to have stuff bolted to the outside. This one, it's just kind of a possibility. The upside of a completely unarmoured ship is very easy to change with components. You've got easy access to fuel rods on the front there, and then the fuel tanks I think were just straight at the back. Yeah, just at the back here, one this side, one this side. So yeah, very simple ship. It's got some lights, which is good. And standard cockpit. This one looks like it was robbed straight out of the hauler, except with an added extra screen. So yeah, I like that. It's got a speed button. Makes it go extra fast, boys. Okay, button for light there. Would have been good to use a labelled button if it's for anything else other than opening or shutting stuff, because then you know what the hell it does straight off the bat. I probably would have also put this resource bridge on the top, just to make it easier when you're using this ship. You can just kind of fly over and hit the button instead of having to go a little bit down and hitting that. Or they could have put one on the other side as well, because you're always going to have to be a specific orientation to use that. But yeah, overall I think it's a good starter ship to get someone going. They won't go very deep into the belt. They shouldn't go through any hazards with this ship, because once they are in, it's just going to melt every component because none of this is shielded. But yeah, a very simple ship, decent price. So this video turned out to be just a little bit longer than I expected, so that is it for part 1. Tune in tomorrow for part 2 and more players' ships. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you in the next one. Kenetor out.